Approval ratings are in for the Pope. This is going to really help him in the midterm elections in 2014. Or it's possible that he doesn't care about that and he's Pope for life. But they are relevant in other ways, and I'll explain that in a second. First, let me tell you what the numbers are. U.S. Catholics are rating the Pope at 88% popularity. Okay, 88% of them view Pope Francis favorably. That's a huge number. Now, I know, look, they're Catholics, but Pope's not always popular among Catholics. Pope Benedict wasn't this popular. In fact, Pope Francis wasn't this popular when he first got in to office, which again sounds funny. Like, Pope will be moving into the Oval Office after God anointed him.
He was at 62, right?
Yes, he was at 62. So moving from 62 to 88 is...
As people got more information about him and his positions.
It's huge. It's huge. So now, and it's not just Catholics who like him.
Also, American Catholics, you know, this is, I mean, it's a good, you know, they're not the most Catholic Catholics.
Mm-hmm. And so for them to get re-energized and excited about a pope, that's certainly relevant. I think why is more relevant. But one more number for you guys. Now, it's not just Catholics, it's 75% of all Americans in general think that he's doing a good job, so he's obviously appealing to a lot of people. Now, to me, this story is not about the Pope, it's about our reaction to the Pope and what it tells us about American society. Because we're often told this is a center-right country, and especially if you're religious, you know, you're right-wing, you're conservative, and you know, all the social issues, the abortions, the contraception, et cetera, et cetera. But here's Pope Francis going in the opposite direction, and very publicly so, saying, hey, don't worry, like, don't concentrate as much as you have on the abortion issue, the gay rights issue. I think gay people maybe could go to heaven, et cetera. And then what we really need to concentrate on is actually helping the poor, the needy, you know, washing the feet of the homeless, washing the feet of a Muslim woman, doing reach out, and saying, hey, capitalism, I'd watch it. I'm not against it, but it's got its excesses, and we should be careful about that. And apparently, the American people and American Catholics themselves, not the leadership, right, but the people themselves love the message. Why? Because we're actually a progressive country. And so when we hear something resoundingly progressive, as the Pope is saying now, especially in the context of other religious leaders, we go, hallelujah.
Yeah, I thought that the Pope's, the string of comments that he had, the long 6,000-page thing that included...
You haven't read that!
But that included the great line about the, you know, when the stock market falls 2 points, it's a big story, but when a homeless man dies of exposure, nobody cares. And all that went with it. That there was, you know, it matters for a whole host of really important reasons. One, it tells us that Americans respond to that kind of message. To be fair, John and I were talking before the show, what if a politician said that? I brought that up, and I think John and I agree that it would be different if a politician said it, because the criticism that, oh, look at this, he's a Marxist, he's a socialist, he wants to take all the money, he wants to destroy the economy, he wants to make us Venezuela, make us Cuba. Some of that would land, whereas it doesn't quite land with the Pope. When Rush Limbaugh hammers the Pope for being Marxist, a lot of reasonable people hear that and be like, Rush, come on, it's the Pope. Stop being a dick. You know, so it's tough. But that said, it worked so overwhelmingly well for him, it would work pretty well for a politician. It wouldn't work as well, but it would work pretty well. So it's great on that accord. And it's also great because it sends a message to religious leaders everywhere. Look what happens when you open up. Look what happens when you're progressive. I guarantee you that there are Anglican leaders and Protestant leaders and Southern Baptists and Methodists who are like, oh, I'd like that kind of press. Like, you know, just purely, you know, who think, or they actually believe it and they were afraid to say it. Yeah. And they think, what if I just said this? What if I just said, I believe in God, I believe we should live biblically, and I believe the gay people should probably be married. But which you doesn't even have to say. You could just say, I just want to stop talking about it. Like, there are bigger issues.
Yeah, because he didn't say he was in favor of gay marriage.
In fact, he said he was against it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so 88% popularity currently, to the extent that that's driven by people who are American Catholics and already had fairly liberal views when it comes to poverty and homosexuality, I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, it's great that they have those positions, but I'm more concerned partially with what you were saying about how this might lead to other leaders of even other faiths coming out. I hope that he is not just, I guess, reflecting the opinions of American Catholics. I hope that he can drive a significant change in those opinions. I want more conservative Catholics in America to be shifted in the same way that we believe that Obama coming out in favor of gay marriage just a year or two ago, we think that that moved some people. I want this to move some people when it comes.
It will.
I hope that it does.
He's the Pope. It will.
Yeah, it's hard to argue after saying your whole life the Pope is right, the Pope is infallible. Right, and I know they always say like, no, he's infallible only under certain circumstances. On a Wednesday when it's overcast and stuff. I know. But generally, everybody's been saying, everybody knows that the Pope is infallible, right? And so if you've been led to believe that your whole life, it's hard to turn that around in a couple of days and say, nah, you know what? I think Rush Limbaugh is more right than the Pope.
Right. He's God's representative on earth.
Yeah. And I think what he's doing, and part of why he's popular now and making religion more popular, and you can say, maybe that's not such a great thing, right? Especially if you're atheist and agnostic like we are, right? But is that he's saying, remember what Jesus said. And remember, and this is really important. You know how Jesus got to be this popular and have 1.2 billion people in the Catholic Church, let alone all the Christians in the world, right? Is he said, let's help the poor and the needy. They're the ones who are going to get rewarded in heaven. That turned out to be a pretty popular message. Yeah. So going back to that message, pretty decent idea. And it turns out people all across the world still to this day respond to that message.